So in lesson 4, we are going to look at the third type of conditional, and it's called an if, elif, else statement. And so you'll see how this is useful when you have to make a decision that has maybe more than one or two choices that dictate what type of code your program is going to run. So by the end of today, you'll be able to use conditional statements in Python that utilize the if, elif, else conditional block. So this is what we focused on in lesson 2, and this is when we had just a simple conditional, single decision to make, and you had if this statement is true, run this code. Otherwise, just move on and the rest of the program and keep going. So that was lesson 2. Then in lesson 3, we moved on to our two-way decisions, which said, okay, if this is true, do this. If it's false, do this. So that was our if-else block. And then the third one we're going to look at today comes into play when we need more than two options, more than true or false, or more than one where it's like, hey, if it's this, do this, otherwise do nothing. So this is where we're going to expand our grade program that we've already created. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it better. We're going to basically allow the user to enter in their grade, but now we're going to tell them whether they got an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. And so notice how there are 5 different choices here rather than just the pass or fail option. So this is where multi-way decisions come in, and this is where the if, elif, else conditional block is so important. So here is the basic syntax for the if, elif, else multi-way decision. So here we start off just as we did before. If this statement is true, it will run this code right here. It still works at the same way, and if this statement is false, this is where it's different. So if it's false, we then move on to the elif, and this elif stands for else if. So it's saying if this is true, do this, and then skip to the end and move on. But if it's not true, move here. And if this is true instead, so there's another Boolean statement in here. If this is true instead, we'll run this code instead. If it's false, move on and keep checking. If this code is true, run this. If it's not, move on and keep checking. So you can have as many elif blocks as you would like, but the key idea is that it checks and it finds the first one that is true. So if this is true, runs this, and then it will skip all the way down here and move on. But if it's not true, it keeps going. It checks multiple conditions within the same block until it finds the first one that is true. So the other piece that you need to keep in mind is that the else is really optional. It's not required. It's there if you need it. It's saying, okay, well, all of these were false, so do this instead. But it's not needed, so you don't have to have it. You can have if and a bunch of elifs and leave it at that. So it's up to you what you'd like to do. We're going to use this code today to make our grades program better. So what I'd like you to do is open up a new program in Python. So go into Python, open it up, create a new program. You can see my name up here is Unit 3, Lesson 4, and it says if, elif, else conditional. And what this program is going to do is it's going to make the best grade program that we can make so far with our knowledge of Python. So it's going to use the if, elif, else conditional to allow us to make a multi-way decision. And then it's going to tell a student their letter grade for a course. So more than just pass or fail, it's going to tell them their letter grade. So we're going to start with a welcome message. And this is just going to print to the screen, welcome to our grades program. And then from here, we're going to get that user input, just like we did before. So we have grade is equal to, we have eval, and then we use input. Then we have please enter in your score. And we close it off with those 2 parentheses. So this starts just like we did before. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use an if, elif, 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 else statement to help us. So we're going to use if, elif, else conditional to determine a student's letter grade. So this is where I use more comments to the side when I have a bigger block like this, so I can comment as I go. So I'm going to just start off and say, okay, if their score is less than 60. So if their score is less than 60, this is where they've earned a failing grade. So if it's less than 60, we'll print you earned an F. So this is our F message, and this is checking if score is less than 60 or whether they earned an F. Now from here is where this gets a little bit different. Here we're going to do ELIF. Now we're going to say, okay, well, if their grade is now greater than a 60, we're going to print you earned a D. So it checks if the student earned a D. And then we're going to print out that D message. Now, I like to use copy and paste to help me, so I'm going to use that here and say, okay, well, if this is now 70, that's when you earn a C. I can change my comments to mimic that. And I can do the same thing for 80 to say that the student earned a B. And then lastly, if they don't earn any of those grades, then they've simply earned check, or I guess if didn't earn the above, they earned an A. And I forgot to change this B here, so hold on. And then my last statement here would just say print who earned an A. So what I'm going to do here is now end by just printing that welcome statement to the screen. I'm here, and I will thank them for using my program. So let's see. Print. It's getting angry at me, so let me see. Oh, notice here how I didn't actually put in my variable. So I need to say grade is less than 60. Grade is greater than 60. This is where you got to pay close attention, and this is where you got to learn how to read Python, figuring out what your error actually is. Now, if I run it, if I enter in a failing score, cool, it tells me I earned an F. Now let's go in and let's see if it works when I get a D. So let's do 65. Cool, works when I get a D. Now if I go back in and run, I'll shrink that down a little bit so I can see it. We can do 75. Huh. And if you look, it's saying we earned a D, which this one should be telling us that we earned a C. So we got to go and look and see if maybe we can figure out what's wrong with our code. Now, I had you write your program this way on purpose, simply because this program isn't running as expected. It's not. It's not working for C. Let's check and see if it even works for B. Maybe it does. If we do, let's do 82. Not working for B. Let's check if it's working for A. And it's not working for A. They're all telling me that I earned a D. And this is where we have to have a really important conversation, because in computer programming, when we use ifs, elifs, and elses, your order matters. And this is where you have to know that your computer is not smart. Your computer follows instructions exactly. So what's happening here in our code is our computer's coming in, and if we enter in 80, it goes if grade is less than 60. Well, if I entered in 80, no, that's false. Moving on. If grade is greater than 60. Yeah, 80 is greater than 60. It runs this code, and after it finds the first thing that's true, it pops all the way down to the end of your block, and it keeps going. So what you need to know about your computer is it's really lazy, and it's looking for the easiest answer, the first true answer. It is not looking for your logical answer. So you need to keep that in mind. It's looking for the first true conditional, and once it finds that, it's going to move to the end of the block and move on. So what we're going to do in the next video is we are actually going to fix that problem. We're going to go back into our code, and we're going to pay really close attention and make sure that it does, in fact, work and print out the correct values, that we can tell our computer, okay, nope, we're going to read it in this way instead.